Hey everyone, Pan Bam Richard here, and welcome to Bomberman Hero Episode 5. For this playthrough here, in the last episode we found our way to Primus planet here and found our way into Primus Castle by going through the waterways, as you'll be seeing right over here. And yeah, we are introduced to a little bit of a cutscene over here. Essentially, I mean, again, if we're talking about plot in a 3D platformer during the late 90s, you're not really going to see much. A bunch of other 3D platformers are guilty of this as well, such as Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, and obviously Super Mario 64. But thankfully, no dialogue. Right now, we're going to be going straight into rock and roll here. The target points here is 3,000 points here, and just like in Crash Bandicoot, we have ourselves the frontal perspective here, and a bunch of rolling boulders towards us. But thankfully, they're not as deadly as they are in Crash Bandicoot, so... yes, the target threshold here is 3,000 points, but we've got to make sure we have to go back to areas that we may pass by if we're very worried about dodging the boulders in order to get our points here. So, we can get our diamond right over here, and be wary of the whole jumping mechanics and whatnot. Something that I did notice recently is that I was playing this game with the HD TV feature on my television, which does make the graphics look nicer, but at the same time, unfortunately, wow, I can't believe they put a boulder right here, but unfortunately I sacrifice my inputs because there's a bit of a split-second delay, which does contribute to quite a lot here. But that's it in terms of the boulder segment here. The rest of it is very self-explanatory. Just gotta like destroy the enemies that you see here. This dice here is destructible. Unfortunately, you can't stand on it, despite what the heart power-up there would lead you to believe. And let's destroy this other dice block right over here, which should be able to get ourselves 100 more points here. And there's our heart power-up. Yeah, but it's very much straightforward from here on forward, but you just gotta be careful of how you gotta toss your bomb while you're standing on that gas thing there. But essentially, that's how we get that gem right over there, but don't throw bombs too often on top of that little area there. And then, we're just about 500 points away from this very short level, which is fine. And it turns out our final enemy is this door here, which will toss projectiles at you. It's not really much of a threat, to be honest. Okay, we're just gonna get destroyed within 5 hits here. And we'll get our fire power up, and we are done. Rock and roll, 3,000 points. Very nice. Now we're moving on to stage 2 of this area, water pool. Water pool here, the target score is 4.5k points, and we have ourselves these rats here. I think it's our first time actually seeing them. They require 2 hits, but it turns out their ball and chain is actually a bomb, so that's something that you have to avoid before they die. And they both have collision damage if you run into them. So this stage is also fairly straightforward, introducing some new enemy types. But it does still have this one point particularly in the level where you have to make sure you get those line of gems if you jump towards it. Because if you don't, then you pretty much screwed yourself for the target score. Alright, cool, I can reach just fine there. But yeah, again, a lot of this game is pretty much all about just making sure you collect everything. And it's pretty much like what you call a pure platformer. Like a pure 3D platformer that doesn't overstay its welcome. Games like, well, okay, this is a little bit debatable now. Yeah, this is the line of gems, by the way. You gotta make sure your jump is absolutely precise here. See if we can get it right. There we go. Nice. Thank goodness the curse didn't come into play this time. But yeah, when it comes to 3D platformers, I mean, back then, if I was younger and I had played a lot of 3D platformers, I kind of played more so Kirby games and puzzle games when I was growing up in preschool and elementary. But when it comes to those 3D platformers, they're designed for those kids that have like a lot of time. Unfortunately, I don't really have that much time anymore, so that's why I could go back to this game very comfortably, because it's short and it's to the point. It's not like those long games like Crash Bandicoot or Spyro the Dragon, but I think I'm probably going to shoot myself in the foot upon saying that, because I'm probably going to have some of those enthusiasts comment otherwise. I did try to finish those games, it's just that collecting the gems in in Crash Bandicoot is a bit of a hassle. So we do need to go all the way up here, though, in order to get some more points. We got ourselves our fireproof vest, as well with the diamond there for 500 points. And yeah, we're gonna proceed here, kill off these slimes. There is our first Adduct bomb in this area, though. And also, at the end of this stage, there are 2 exits. They don't even try to trick you. There's just 2 exits, and it's kind of lame how they have it set up. You either take one path or the other, and honestly, this stage doesn't require a replay in order to show off both exits, because one is right there and the other one's right there. But before we do that, we're gonna get this Adduct bomb right here, and this heart power up. Very nice, very nice. And I think we might be able to make our jump all the way up here. Alright, very nice. So that's our 4.5k target score with the Adduct bomb points for our rank 5. Okay, we're now moving on to Millian Road here, and this will be another showcase of our bomber jet. So, whenever I think about this power gear for Bomberman Hero, I always think about this stage, because this stage has a pretty awesome aesthetic. You're basically going through this hallway in Millian's castle here, Primus castle, and it's kind of cool how it's all set up. The target score here is 5k points, and there are going to be those enemies again that aren't considered for the target score, and I think there are those orb enemies that are flying towards us right now. So this is where that whole rolling bomb comes in handy. So we're going to be using that quite a bit here for the first couple of parts, just to make sure that we can target them all without having to move left and right in their line of fire. And unfortunately, it's not working for this one here, which we had to move towards this line of fire in order to get it. But yeah, again, the bomber jet, wow, okay, took advantage of me while I was getting tongue-tied. But the bomber jet stages pretty much are just very self-explanatory and to the point, just like all the other stages here. There isn't really much to write home about except for new enemies and new obstacles to avoid, which is pretty much the whole definition of how a game can get harder. At least this type of game can get harder. Those torpedoes there, those enemies that fire the torpedoes at us, are worth 200 points, which is very nice here. I'm a little bit unwary of the amount of damage that I take here, because I'm pretty sure there should be some hearts that we could get halfway through the stage. I'm more so worried about the point threshold, pretty much, than anything else. See, we got ourselves a heart right here. But, oh, I think these are the guys that they actually don't count towards your score, which for good reason. But thankfully, we're going to get our heart over here, and the fire power up. Should be fine and dandy. Should be fine and dandy. Alright, there we go. Get some more explosions right over here. But as I was saying in my previous argument regarding the 3D platformers, yeah, I can see why Super Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie are often considered games that you would love in the 3D platformer era, early 3D platformer era. But, essentially, these games do sort of, like, are compact and to the point when it comes to 3D platforming. And, I don't know, I personally prefer this kind of setup compared to... Okay, this is pretty bad right now. Let's actually focus and try not to die here. There we go. We had to sacrifice quite a bit of points there, but I think we should be fine, I hope. If only they had a fireproof vest. But actually, fireproof vest would actually make this stage a lot more easier and less worrisome in terms of dodging things. A little bit of a sneaky gem that they placed over there. But I think we should be fine. 5,000 is the threshold, so I'm pretty sure we could get, like, quite a bit of points here as long as we're relentless in our assault. Again, they're very lenient in terms of how many points you can get here. I'm pretty sure you could get 500 points from this thing here too, so we shouldn't be so bad in terms of clearing the stage here and getting to rank 5, even though we skipped quite a bit of points as you saw me do earlier. But again, it's not really needed. This stage is very generous for the points that you acquire. And there's our 5.5 for our 5 rank. Alright, so either Millian Road or Warp Room will bring you to Dark Prison. I did the second exit of Water Pool off screen because it's kind of boring to show off, So here we're going to move on to the warp room here. We need 2.5k points to get that 5 rank here. There are some enemies here that we can kill to get 200 additional points here. They're these ones. Before they explode, get another bomb to explode right close to them so that you can get 100 points. There's another one right there. If they explode on their own, then you won't get the points. But it gives you a little bit more flexibility, and as you can tell by the blast radius, those are the enemies that can actually cover more radius than your level 4 firepower. Which, I knew they existed. I thought they were the other enemies, the actual bombs that we saw previously throughout this game, but no, it's actually those enemies that would cause that siren to go off there. There's our ad hoc bomb, by the way. It's very easy to get, but before we do that, we're gonna have to avoid this pink bomb scenario here. We're introduced to our first barrel enemy. Those enemies are very much annoying. You can only kill them while they're standing up. If they're in motion, you can't kill them. So there's that, and before we go to that warp that we had access to in the other room, we're gonna go to this warp here in order to pick up some more of these gems here. We got ourselves the slime enemies from the slime cave in Planet Bomber. They're gonna be tossing projectiles at us. Yeah, those slime enemies do have their own attack properties depending on what color they are. The red ones throw projectiles at you, the yellow one expands and tries to smother you. I forgot what the blue ones do. Maybe they bounce fast, I don't know. But we need to activate that switch and use this warp in order to get our wall through item here. And it's making a return from that last area we were here in Primus Star. And it brings us back to the beginning right over here, so that way we could gain access to our ad hoc bomb. This stage is also very generous with the points here, and I don't see how you can miss that ad hoc bomb if you go through natural progression, because you need this wall through power-up to finish the stage, if I recall. My mind might be playing tricks. Yeah, you do need it to finish the stage, so I don't know how you can miss that ad hoc bomb. It was kind of a poorly placed one in hindsight here. But we're gonna get these gems here. I don't need to pick up all those other power-ups because we have enough points to get our target score and our rank 5. Alright, so Dark Prison is probably one of my favorites because it does encourage you to explore and utilize a bunch of Bomberman's abilities here. We have to go to 4 corners to gain access to that door there, which is locked by the 4 crystals. So we're gonna have to explore those 4 corners in order to obtain all the crystals. Now, there is also a power-up here that is a staple in the Bomberman series that makes its first debut in this game, and we're gonna get to it very shortly. I did have to pick up that bomb power-up first in order to make sure that we keep it for the rest of the level. So that had to be done, but I think it's actually all the way up here. The thing with the power-ups though, as you've noticed with the fireproof vest and the wall-through item, essentially they only last for the stage that you use them in. But as you can see here, here is our next power-up here. The remote bombs, yes, they come back. The staple of the Bomberman series and something that a lot of players sought for whenever they play online in Bomberman Switch. Alright, so here's our first crystal right over here. In order to activate your remote bomb, you just have to press the Z button. I believe that's how the configuration is on the classic controller here. Again, I'm playing this on Virtual Console, so I'm not playing this on a physical N64. Actually, I think it's the L button, because I've used the L button here to activate it, not the further trigger there. But yeah, that's what you have to do in order to activate the bomb. It's unfortunate that you can't carry this into boss battles, because if I recall, none of the bombs that you get throughout this game, none of the power-ups that you get throughout this game can actually be used during boss fights, because they don't ever show up during the boss fights, if I recall. I'm pretty sure there are none, but yeah, it's unfortunate because it would be nice to sort of play around with the remote bombs. I know they're very popular when you play against bosses in Bomberman 64, but unfortunately you don't get that luxury here in this game. Which is, I guess, okay. I mean, it really depends on your perspective. If you want the extra challenge, then there you go. You got this game here that will force you to stick with Bomberman's innate bombs compared to the bombs that are remote controlled. So, I guess I can understand the other crowd where it would be much more easier to go through the boss fights essentially with the remote bomb. But alright, so we're gonna have to Open the switch right over here to get ourselves our firepower up. Again, the target score is 3,000 points, but thankfully, we can collect 1,000 points thanks to this gem that we're about to see very shortly here. In order to get the gem, we have to activate the switch, which I believe is in this door here. Yes. We're gonna wait until this guy comes out. Actually, I'm curious. What happens if you roll 4 of these guys here? Oh no, it only rolls 3. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough to get this enemy right over here, but we're gonna need to activate the switch here, and there's our 1,000 points thanks to that rainbow gem. We're gonna climb down here, a little bit of a leap of faith in order to get ourselves our red gem, I believe. Yes, there we go. And our final 50 points is in the final yellow shard that we can get right over here, thanks to the activation of that lift there from the switch that we blew up, and we are finished this level. It's a fun little level. It's in an enclosed area, but it does encourage you to do quite a bit of exploration and a bit of platforming as well. It's why I like it. Alright, and now we're moving on to our rematch with Nitros here. Got ourselves a little bit of a cutscene. Again, plots, I'm gonna be like a broken record every single time I see each cutscene throughout this game. You're not really missing much here. I'm pretty sure we still don't know what the disc is for. The disc that Princess Millian is still holding on to very, very closely. But yeah, we're going to be facing Nitros again, as the title of this room does imply. So this cutscene's a little bit lost in terms of building up the drama to facing off with Nitros again. But Nitros has a couple new tricks here this time around. Not only can he use the shards, but it seems that he can also kick bombs when you try to toss them at him. And at the same time, he could also activate flying discs to toss towards you. So the target score for this boss fight is 6.5k points. We're gonna try to get things really quick here. Same strategy as always, but yeah, he can kick bombs now, as you saw him try to do with that skid. But you gotta make sure to still time it accordingly, and just make sure to not get hit. There's also some electronic... Wow, this is the first time I got hit by the disc. That's actually pretty sad, because you can normally cause them to explode just like that. But yeah, there are also panels in the middle there that can shock you, so he has obstacles there that you can't abuse either, but he can walk onto them just fine. I think that should be it though. Actually no, looks like he needs 2 more hits to get the kill. But yeah, he drops his own bombs now too. But the threshold here is actually very generous compared to other boss fights, but there we go. We got our 6.5k threshold met to get our rank 5 of this stage, and we have completed Area 2 of Primus Castle. However, that's not it for the game though. As we return from Adok, we meet up with Piebot, and it turns out that the princess has left to another castle. Well, in this case, she's actually in the clock tower, and that's where we'll be going next into the next episode here of this playthrough. We will be trying to save Princess Millian from the clock tower here that she is standing on, along with this weird creature here. I believe his name is Baruda. I think his name is Baruda or something. But yes, in the next episode, we'll be going on to Area 3 of Primus Planet, known as the Clock Tower. Baruda is his name, the one who has captured Princess Millian. So until next time, take care.